it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new video. Today's video focuses on my favorite books with competitions in them, because I mentioned in a recent reads video about 1 to 2 weeks ago that I really like books with competitions in them, so I decided to make an entire video. So, the first book on this list is called A Dress for the Wicked. This book is a YA fantasy following a lower class girl who enters an elite high fashion competition, which I think is so cool, and it really made the world building so inventive and so interesting and absolutely so fascinating. Honestly, if I were to major in something that didn't require me to one day work in the industry and get a job in that field, I would definitely study fashion design, because I think that designing clothes is so fascinating and it's absolutely so cool. But at any rate, this book is so good. Like I mentioned, the world building is so inventive and it's so fascinating. The plot is so intriguing. It was absolutely so thrilling. The characters were so well developed and so distinct, and I really enjoyed them. I was so emotionally attached to the main character because I really enjoyed her, and as a result, I was so emotionally invested in every single step of this story, because this book is so good and it deserves so much more hype because it's absolutely so underrated. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called The Bones of Lumen. This book is a YA historical fantasy following an African tightrope walker who comes from the circus, which is why I included this book in my favorite books with circus settings, even though the majority of this book is set during a magical competition, hence why it's also in this list, because she enters a magical competition in order to find out what happened to her in her past, because she does not remember anything about her past. So, I don't know if that synopsis made any sense at all, but essentially, this book is so good, and it's so underrated, and it deserves so much more hype. First of all, the world building is so fascinating, and it's so inventive, and it's absolutely so immersive. All the characters were so well developed, and they're all so distinct, and I really enjoyed how every single relationship, the platonic ones and the romantic ones, were so well developed. This book is so well done. Unlike A Dress for the Wicked, which is a fantasy standalone, this book has a sequel coming next year, and I'm so excited to read it, because this book is so good. It's so inventive, and it's so immersive, and it's so well done. This book is so fascinating, and it's absolutely so thrilling. The plot was so intriguing, and it was so thrilling, and it was so well done. This book is so good, and with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Whale Dreams to Send. This book is a YA fantasy following 2 characters in a magical competition, and they must reckon with their secrets before the darkness comes for them next. This book is so good. I just recently read the sequel, which is one of my most anticipated releases for the end of the year, and it definitely lived up to my high expectations. As you would know, if you watched my recent reads video that I referenced earlier in this video. But anyway, this book is so good. First of all, the world building is so inventive, and it really made the story so immersive because it was so fascinating. The plot is so thrilling. It was absolutely so intriguing. The characters are so well developed, and they're both so distinct, and I really enjoyed their dynamic together. The romance is so well developed, and it was so interesting, and this book is so intriguing, and it's so well done, and the story is so underrated. And for what? I know I overuse the word underrated on my channel, but this book is so good, and it deserves so much more hype, because it's absolutely so good, and it's so fascinating, and it's so well done. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called The Night Circus. For those who don't know, this book is one of my absolute favorites, and it's an adult fantasy following 2 magicians who are entering a magical competition, but not by choice, and it's set at a traveling circus that appears only at night. This book is so fascinating, and it's absolutely one of my favorites, because the world building is so immersive, and it's so fascinating, and it really made the plot so thrilling, so intriguing, and the characters are so well developed, and they're both so distinct, and I really enjoyed both of them. This book is so good because it's absolutely so fascinating, and it's so well done, and it's so thrilling, and the meticulous minutia that the author used to craft this world was so well done. This author also wrote The Starless Sea, which is also one of my favorites because her world building and her writing is so good. Her world building is so fascinating and it's so wonderful, and I really enjoyed it because it really made the story so immersive. And the plot is also so fluid and it was so intriguing, and the characters are so well developed and so distinct, and I really enjoyed them. This book is so good and it deserves all of its hype and so much more. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The last book on this list, but certainly not the least because it prompted this entire video, is called When There's a Whisk. This book is a YA contemporary that follows a young girl who enters a cooking competition on a reality TV show. This book is so good and it's so underrated, and honestly maybe it's too soon to say that this book is so underrated because it's only been out for a month, but at any rate, this book is so good. Due to the competition, the plot was so intriguing and it was absolutely so thrilling. All the characters were so well developed and so distinct. The romance was so well developed, and I was so invested in this story because I was so emotionally attached to all of the characters. This book is so good and it's so well done and it's so awesome and it's so fantastic, and this book is so good. All the cooking and food elements were brought to life so well, and I really enjoyed it. This book is so good, and with that I would highly recommend it. So, in conclusion, I hope that you really enjoy this video. Typically, I would apologize for how windy it has been today, but I shouldn't apologize for things that I can't control. So, yeah. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the candy emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!